Hey guys, what's up? We're here today with my top 10 list of the top 10 movies that are so bad they're good. Enjoy the video, guys. Alright, starting off our list at number 10 is Tommy Wiseau's The Room. The Room is a film that I'd actually seen for the first time quite recently. And I must say, people say it's the holy grail of bad movies. It's the Citizen Kane of bad movies. It is not. It's really not as funny as people make it out to be. I mean, it's still pretty funny, and it does have, and it does have like unwatchably bad sex scenes and with bad like R&B music behind it. But other than that, it's not really such a like enjoyably bad movie as much as it is just a bad movie. Alright, and at number 9 we have another controversial pick for this place on the list. It's Plan 9 from Outer Space, often considered the worst movie ever made. I can say it's definitely really funny and enjoyable to watch. I can't say it's as enjoyable to watch as some of the other movies I plan to put on the list. Uh, all I can really say is Ed Wood is definitely a master of bad movies. I mean, he has made a lot of bad. He did make a lot of bad movies in his time, and I've seen a few of his movies. Um, and they're definitely funny. They're definitely enjoyably bad. Uh, but then again, I mean, uh, they're not as they're not as funny as our next pick for number 8. All right, and at number 8, it is Troll 2. Um, as I said with the previous two movies on the list so far, it's a controversial thing to put a movie of this caliber of badness on a list of so bad it's good movies at this level. It's definitely a really funny movie. It's worth your time if you enjoy watching bad movies. It's badly acted, it's ridiculous, it's silly, it's over the top, but it's not as good as some of the other, well, not as, I should say, not as bad as some of the other movies on this list. Alright, and at number 7, we have a movie I usually don't find on many so bad it's good movie lists, but I'm putting this one on mine. It's a exploitation film, well, actually it's a cautionary, propaganda film from the 1930s, but those films usually fall under the, a subcategory of exploitation films, and it is Reefer Madness. For those of you who have not seen this movie, I'm pretty sure it's still on Netflix, but it's basically an anti-marijuana movie that states if you smoke marijuana, you will become a sex addict, murderer, rapist. And it claims at the beginning of the movie that everything you see in the film actually happens if you smoke marijuana. And to show you like how just enjoyably bad this movie is. And I mean, this is still, this is pretty high up on the list. And but just to show you like how much I enjoy this movie, I just kind of it like people maybe thought it was serious. I want to show you guys something. That's a Reefer Madness poster in my bedroom. Alright, and we have, at number 6, we have a movie from Ted V. Michaels, the, master of crap cinema, of crap horror films, especially. And, it's his eternal classic, The Corpse Grinders. The Corpse Grinders, I want to give you guys a little bit of a sample of what this movie's about. It's about a cat food company that grinds up corpses into their cat food, and then once the cats eat the cat food, the cats kill their owners. Yeah. And number 5 is a movie I actually watched and reviewed not quite recently, at least a month ago, on my channel. It is another Ted V. Michaels film, but this one isn't directed or written by him like The Corpse Grinders is. It is produced by him, and it is Herb Robbins' The Worm Eaters. Herb Robbins' The Worm Eaters is a completely ridiculous, off-the-wall, gross, funny, disgusting film about eating worms and becoming worm people. This film does not get the recognition of being so bad it's good that it deserves, because it is a genuinely funny movie. Not just because how ridiculously bad it is either. It is actually funny because of because some of the actual jokes put in are actually kind of humorous. Uh yeah. All right, next we have a film produced by George Lucas, the director of the Star Wars franchise. Um and this one isn't this is another one that you don't usually find on So Bad It's Good movie lists. Um, and I'd like to put this one on mine because I think it's a genuinely underrated film, and it's really just enjoyable to watch. Even if it, even I mean, not even because it's bad, just because it's a fun movie. And it's Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck being about an alien duck who lands in Cleveland, Ohio, and basically falls in love with a human woman, and she's in a like a hair metal band, and yeah, it's uh, it's pretty, yeah, for a children's film. It is. Ooh, look at me getting all controversial with my movie picks for this list. At number 3, we have Herschel Gordon Lewis's the first splatter film in human history, Blood Feast. I'd like to also say that the entire Blood trilogy could go on. It can. I'm going to say the whole Blood trilogy for number 3. Uh, there's no other reason that anybody should watch or own Blood Feast or any of Herschel Gordon Lewis's splatter films other than to watch them with your friends and laugh at how bad they are. For the time, the acting was really fucking bad. Even now, I mean, now it's like some of the worst acting I've probably ever seen in a film. The effects, I mean, for the time, they were probably really groundbreaking effects, but today they come off really cheap and laughable, and it just makes the movie fun. as I've said with a lot of other movies on this list. Alright, and at number 2, we have my favorite martial arts film, Riki-Oh, The Story of Ricky. Also on my list of the goriest movies ever made, Riki-Oh is about a guy in prison that wants to clean up the prison because it's corrupt, and he can punch holes through people. That's really the entire plot. Really over the top, really gory, really ridiculous, and just, I mean, this is probably one of the, like, cheesiest and most ridiculous over the top horror films I have ever seen. Well, not even horror, but just films I've ever seen. I mean, the plot may not sound as ridiculous as something like The Worm Eaters or Howard the Duck or um uh I'm drawing a blank on this next one. The Worm Eaters, Howard the Duck, or the Corpse Grinders, maybe. You know, this. I mean, this plot may not be extremely ridiculous. It's just that the effects and the characters in this movie are just so cheesy and bad that it's worth watching over and over and over and over again. It is fucking beautiful how bad this movie is and how amazing it is. Before we get to number one, I'd like to say a couple things. Um, Anybody who watches this and wants to complain that Birdemic wasn't on here, or that Plan 9 was way too high up on the list, or that The Room was high up on the list, or that Troll 2 was way too high up on the list, or that any other legendary bad movie wasn't on this list, I would like to say that I have seen a lot of bad movies in my time as a film reviewer and just avid movie fan. And I know that there are movies that seem to have some large, like, so bad it's good cult followings, like Birdemic does. And Birdemic, honestly, is probably the worst movie I have ever seen. And I'm not even saying that as like saying it's a really bad movie. You should see it. I'm saying it as a bad movie. You shouldn't watch it because it's annoying and it is tedious as all hell. Yeah, I thought I'd want to get that out of my system and say yeah. Also, I'd like to mention a couple runner-ups on this list. Any trauma movie, almost any trauma movie, and I Drink Your Blood. Those are the runners-up. Those are the runner-ups on this list. All right, and at number one, we have probably one of my favorite slasher films of all time. Probably one of my favorite '80s horror films of all time. Even though this one has a pretty high rating on IMDb, like the average rating is like 6.5 out of 10, which is pretty high. I mean, that's higher than Blood Feast. That's higher than Howard the Duck. That's higher than any of the movies so far on this list. And there is still a lot of people that say that this movie is really stupid and ridiculous and it's not worth subjecting yourself to. And it is pieces. One of the best, the most ridiculous slasher film I have ever seen. We are talking, we are talking chainsaw killers severing a woman's head in broad daylight in a public park, and then just walking away, carrying the severed head and a bloody chainsaw. We are talking a child, a 10-year-old kid, murdering his mother with an axe because she was going to burn his puzzles, his jigsaw puzzles of naked women. Kung fu teachers attacking people randomly in the middle of the night. Knives bending when they press against the back of someone's skull. This film may not be as ridiculous as Riccio or The Worm Eaters or any of the other movies on this list, but it is probably just one of my favorite cheesy, bad slasher films. And there are a lot of people out there that say this is probably one of the worst slasher films of the 80s. And I could see why, definitely, especially with the surprise ending. I'm not going to spoil, because if you really want to see a just really absurd and probably the stupidest horror film ever, you should really just uh, pick up a copy of this. It's worth your time, most definitely.